Welcome to another edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report. I'm Doug Weishuttle here with Dave Weishuttle. We're here to give you a whip-around look at some of the latest news coming out of the sports betting industry. On TV, you can follow the show on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, on our website, turnpikesports.us. We'll be right there on the homepage every Monday morning, and you can catch our archive on YouTube, youtube.com/turnpikesports. Audio, we are on Samsung Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Pandora Podcasts. Press releases, info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Keep those coming in. We love hearing from everybody in the industry. This week, in our state and national reports, we've got a lot of January benchmarks and records to talk about.
And I expect a lot of reports about the Super Bowl. So I figure a lot of states are coming out with their reports. So I expect to hear that from you this time.
Well, at the time we're airing this,
Okay.
This is going to be a week or two out from the Super Bowl.
All right.
There's going to be lots of numbers that
There you go.
we're going to be covering, as well as going to be covering probably the following week, too.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
everyone should know about that.
I love the numbers after a big betting event.
But we've also got records coming out of New York in January, as well as Indiana, Maryland, and even some benchmarks coming out of Tennessee for the January reports. Deals, I don't know if anyone's heard, but DraftKings made some noise in a couple different areas after the Super Bowl. We got a couple deals to talk about for them. We've got a Penn Entertainment deal regarding New York to talk about.
Yes, a big one.
So kind of a busy couple of weeks there. Industry updates. We've got more ESPN news to talk about. We've got Jackpocket news to talk about.
Yes.
As well as some news coming out of Massachusetts, New York, and even some Florida regarding some licenses and shutdowns, all that.
Okay.
Then we're going to end up with our legislative roundup. We've got Alabama, Kansas, 2 from Maryland, and a West Virginia story to talk about.
I have to tell you, the Alabama story came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting. I think I was looking at the social media and Alabama and sports betting. What's this all about? So I guess we'll get into it when we get there.
We'll get into all of that right after this.
Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called, and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing, and now we're back in control.
Call now, and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-479-3522. That's 800-479-3522. 800-479-3522.
Attention. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, watch this urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by hiring 87,000 new agents to garnish your paycheck and put liens on homes and businesses. They can even seize your bank account. The IRS calls it enforced compliance, and now they have the manpower to get you. Penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily. So call One Stop Tax Relief Shop and get the IRS off your back. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. And no other tax shop gets you more or faster approvals. One Stop Tax Relief has resolved thousands of cases since 2014 and saved clients millions of dollars. Call now for a free consultation. Connect with tax professionals who get the IRS off your back.
Call 800-605-0688. 800-605-0688.
One Stop Tax Relief Shop.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Book Report. State and national reports. We're going to talk some January numbers from a few states. We've got New York releasing their January sports betting numbers. Normally we do weekly sports betting reports from the state of New York for their mobile industry.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking the entire month of January, where they set another revenue record.
Before you get into that, I just want to say I love the way New York reports because every week there's something about New York. They release their numbers every week, and then at the end of the month they release their monthly numbers, which is great. You up on that market. But then you have places like Arizona and Illinois where I think last week we just got the final November numbers in some of these states. So New York is an incredible market because it has incredible reporting procedures. So good for New York.
Then you must love the state of Maine.
Really?
They do daily.
Oh, wow.
Or they started off doing daily. I don't know when the industry gets further along. I think they're going to scale that back a bit.
That might be a little overdoing it if you're New York, because that's a lot of numbers to tabulate. But Maine, okay. I like the effort for Maine.
I think
Good
there's a
for Maine.
slight population difference between those two states.
Well, by the way, Maine's called vacation land.
Yes.
I don't, when I'm thinking vacation, I'm like, hey, let's go
I don't
to
think
Maine. A beautiful state. Yeah. I just don't think of it as vacation land.
Well, getting off our tangent.
Yeah.
We are talking New York State online sports betting record in the month of January for operator revenue.
Okay.
$211.5 million. That's the second consecutive month they have set a revenue record.
Sure.
January also, unfortunately, marked the end of a 3-month run of New York getting at least $2 billion a month in handle. Online handle, anyway.
Yeah.
FanDuel and DraftKings both posted record monthly gross revenue. $109 million for FanDuel. That's the most I've ever seen of an operator revenue.
Sure.
And then you have DraftKings setting their own record of $70.966 million for the month of January.
I hope states like California and Texas are looking at these numbers from New York, because they could have better than numbers. I mean, Texas and California are huge states, so if they ever needed money, and which state doesn't nowadays, sports betting is, could solve a lot of problems in those states.
Regarding a couple other benchmarks for the state, we've got FanDuel passing $6 billion in handle for fiscal year to date, $700 million in fiscal year to date gross gaming revenue as well. DraftKings $5 billion in fiscal year to date handle, and $500 million in fiscal year to date gross gaming revenue.
Okay.
We've got BetMGM $1 billion fiscal year to date handle. Caesars $1.5 billion fiscal year to date handle as well.
Now, are they still around 95% of the market?
Those four?
Those four?
Yes. Possibly that's going to change soon with somebody else entering the market that we'll be talking about in a little bit.
They call it the 4-letter network?
Yes.
In New England? Okay.
They love calling it that.
They love it. Love it.
Over in Indiana reported the third January sports betting numbers. Record revenue of $53.469 million, $53.5 million, let's call it, beating the previous record set back in September of 2022. That stood that long.
Wow. Okay.
State also recorded a third time it reached at least $50 million in revenue in terms of a monthly report, and Indiana became the 7th state to reach $15 billion in all-time handle.
Wow. Okay.
You want to take a guess who they're joining? It's just usual suspects now. It's New Jersey, New York, Nevada, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Colorado. They're the ones.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
did you say Ohio in there? No. I would think, okay.
New
Ohio
Jersey,
must be pretty close.
Ohio's
though.
getting there.
Yeah. Okay.
FanDuel in Indiana set a state revenue record with $23.2 million. And also the state of Indiana, first time back-to-back months with at least $50 million in revenue statewide.
Wow.
Yep. First time also
These
Indiana
last
operators.
5 months have been incredible in states. All the records that were broken, like handle records, revenue records in different states. It seems like it started in September, and the records just kept falling.
Real quick also, highest level of taxes too.
Yeah, which is great for the state.
Exactly.
That's the number the states want to hear.
Over in Maryland, Maryland set a record adjusted gaming revenue record of $54.978 million. Beat the previous record by of $43 million. So that's a huge jump in terms of record-setting pace there.
Yeah.
Second consecutive month of record-adjusted gaming revenue there. Also, Maryland had its third straight month with handle of at least $500 million.
Wow.
Yep.
Look at Maryland, huh?
Yep. The little state that could.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something.
Not
I wonder how much of that was from. That was the big run of the Baltimore Ravens. So I wonder how much of that contributed to that.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, probably.
Tennessee State of Tennessee became the 5th state to pass the $200 million mark in taxes, tax revenue.
And by the way, they're only online.
They're only online.
Tennessee is only online sports betting.
Well, you also
no
gotta
retail
remember,
sports books.
The most of these taxes are being generated after the change in the tax rate there, too.
Yeah,
they doubled the tax
Tennessee
rate.
had an interesting law when they first started with sports betting, is that the books, the mobile books, which they're the only ones in the state, had to have a 10% hold.
Yeah.
So that changed.
Yep.
So, but that was an an interesting law. So.
Now we have our Super Bowl numbers.
Oh, okay.
First set of Super Bowl numbers.
All right. The first wave of Super Bowl numbers. Okay, can't wait.
Real quickly here. Nevada, record 185 million.
I know that.
New Jersey, 141.6 million. Maine, 3.5 million in their first Super Bowl.
Maine. Okay.
Simple Bet reported over 1 million bets during the Super Bowl.
Yes, for all those micro market bettors out there.
They
had a great year, too, Simple Bet. I think they broke records in NFL betting.
Record $17 million in handle for their micro betting.
Wow, that's great.
7.7 million for their, let me get the phrasing right, the drive result exact option.
They are so creative in their micro betting markets. It's just great. So.
And New York also reported their Super Bowl numbers: $162 million in handle for the Super Bowl alone. You've got Caesars and BetMGM both posting losses, with DraftKings and FanDuel showing gains.
Well, that's always fascinating to me. You almost have to take a really deep dive into how the different sports books did, because they each offer different promos, they each offer different bonuses, they have different prop bets you can put on the Super Bowl. So it's an interesting thing to see what worked and what didn't work. And even within the same sports book, I mean, you had certain bonuses of Sportsbook X. And I have an account there, too, and, you had different bonuses than I did. I mean, you said, I got a bonus bet I can take, and I have an account there, too, and I didn't get a bonus bet. And then I got a bonus bet one other sports book, and I know you have an account in that sports book, and you didn't get a bonus bet. So it's one of those things, it's a very interesting thing to look at how the sports books actually made money when you consider it in the promos and the bonuses and the prop bets.
But in some instances, some of these books got their butts kicked.
Oh, yeah. Well,
can't do anything about that.
Sure.
That's it for state and national reports. Let's head on over to some deals. I think everyone noticed after the Super Bowl ended, we saw Barstool announcing their marketing deal with DraftKings.
Yeah.
Supposedly multi-year sports betting marketing partnership regarding eight-figure sum, I believe it was a lot of people have referred to regarding per yearly sum, by the way.
I actually didn't see a number, so I don't know.
Low eight-figure sum is what's being reported. The terms really haven't been talked about yet, but it's a straight marketing deal. Barstool's not becoming another sports book like they were before with Penn.
Okay.
Speaking of Penn, we've got Penn buying the New York license from WynnBET, or I should say Wynn Interactive.
Okay.
So we're going to be looking at Penn entering the market with possibly ESPN.
The New York
Bet.
market, right?
The New York market with ESPN Bet.
So which should do very well.
Yep. If you look at some of the analysts' reading of the situations, a lot of analysts are saying Penn is coming into the New York market with no competitive advantage because they have no properties there. And
that's true. Yeah, they don't.
No brick and mortar, and no brick and mortar in New Jersey or Connecticut, which I guess a lot of the New York market does come from.
But they have that ESPN name, so that's
what they're going to rely on.
Brand recognition, and we referred to it before. In New York, 95% of the market share in mobile sports betting anyway is FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, and Caesars.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious if ESPN Bet can crack into that elite status, but I guess we shall see.
Well, the analysts are saying...
By the way, if anyone can, ESPN Bet can.
Yeah, well, Penn.
Penn can. Well, I'm calling it ESPN.
Well, according to the analysts, you still got a huge database of Barstool Sportsbook customers in Jersey.
Okay.
Even though Barstool Sportsbooks doesn't exist anymore, but Penn can actually access that customer base.
Sure.
So there's 1 million potential new customers for ESPN Bet in the region.
Yeah. No, that region is very interesting because, a lot of people who work in New York City live in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And if you ever take a train from New Jersey into Manhattan, you know what? For us, it's like, what was it, a 45-minute ride or something like that? You know, and everyone is either playing poker on their phones, sports bets, slots, roulette, 21, whatever. I mean, but they're like rolling casinos. So that's an interesting market. And, you know, that those New York City and New Jersey is always kind of connected. That's why, you know, when mobile started in New York, New Jersey was worried. And that's why when Manhattan's talking about casinos in the city, Atlantic City is worried. So that's the connection between those two states.
Well, everyone's predicting a 9% market share, which would change the
Pretty
dynamic.
good. Yeah, very good. Very
because
good, so.
The big four right now are the ones that have 95%.
Yeah, like I said, if they can crack that, and ESPN Bet can, because, and I know it's Penn, but you know they have that name recognition.
Well, right now ESPN Bet, wherever it's operating, has about an 8% market share, so 9% is not out of the question.
Yeah.
And if you look at where they're getting it from, the market share is coming at the expense of BetMGM and Caesars. It's not touching the market share from FanDuel and DraftKings. It's touching the I don't want to call them tier 2, but Caesars and BetMGM are dropping in market share wherever ESPN Bet is.
Well, let me tell you something. Anytime I turn on ESPN nowadays, ESPN Bet is noticeable.
Yes.
It's there. It's right in front of me. So, you know, if you walk into a bar in Manhattan that has ESPN on, you're going to see ESPN Bet.
And going back full circle to where we started the segment, we're going back to DraftKings here.
Okay.
Last deal to talk about is DraftKings announcing that it has reached an agreement to acquire Jackpocket, the lottery app.
Yes.
$750 million, 55% in cash, 45% in DraftKings stock to Jackpocket. Already been approved by shareholders of both companies.
Great. Good.
Basically, DraftKings gets a new vertical, online lottery.
Do you think that it'll be separate, or do you think Jackpocket will be absorbed into DraftKings? Will we see DraftKings and have an icon that says lottery kind of thing, or how?
I think right now
is that up in the air right now, or no one has said how this is going to be? Is it going to look pretty much the same as it is now, or I'm very curious about that.
I think you got to look at it as Jackpocket is still going to be around, because you also have the Jackpocket Casino. Too.
Yes, yeah, they have a casino.
You've got
the
a lot of
Jackpocket Casino is in New Jersey. Yeah,
right. So. You've got a lot of cross marketing here.
Yeah.
The one thing that you have to wonder about the Jackpocket Casino. What happens, because Jackpocket Casino is worked out with a partnership with Caesars Interactive.
Okay.
So I don't know if that actually balances out, or DraftKings takes that over.
Anytime I hear deals like this, I wonder, is there going to be a shared wallet? I mean, I have a DraftKings account. Can I play on Jackpocket Casino or get lottery tickets? I'm very curious to see how this works out.
The one thing this deal does do for Jackpocket, not only getting into the online lottery business, gets DraftKings in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Because Jackpocket's legal in Texas.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there are so many different states that Jackpocket
I don't
has
know
an
what's
app.
going on in Texas, so I don't know what's
But
going on in the gambling world in Texas.
It does put DraftKings in good position when Texas, or if Texas ever launches. But DraftKings is now in Texas because of this deal.
All right.
You've got new verticals with the online lottery. You got 2 casino apps now. DraftKings Casino, Jackpocket Casino.
I know DraftKings has its casino. DraftKings Sportsbook in New Jersey has a icon that says casino. It's an online casino.
So they now have 2 online casinos, a sports book, a fantasy sports app, and a lottery app.
Wow, good for DraftKings.
And good for the business, really.
The
industry.
I think so.
This is a right move for the industry to see this.
Absolutely.
That's it for the deals. We're going to start talking industry updates right after this.
Every 40 seconds, a kid is reported missing. Find the Children provides educational material that teaches your kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs are very successful in bringing kids back home to their family. You can help protect our kids and bring the missing kids home safe by donating your unwanted car, truck, SUV, or van, running or not. We guarantee you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast free pickup, usually within 24 hours. Over 2,000 kids are reported missing every day. Call now to donate your vehicle. Donate now to bring these kids home safe.
Call 800-934-2260. 800-934-2260. 800-934-2260.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Book Report. Now, we just finished talking about ESPN Bet entering the New York market in the previous segment.
Yeah, possibly, I
Right.
guess. I guess okay.
Well,
Nothing's set in stone.
Now we're going to talk ESPN a bit.
Okay.
Disney CEO Bob Iger at Investors Day, before they announced their earnings for Disney and ESPN and every aspect of that business. And also Iger talked about the joint venture that's coming up with Fox and Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
One of the statements he made in his briefing, I guess you can call it briefing, presentation, was the fact that they are going to be moving ESPN to a direct-to-consumer app.
Okay.
Fast channel, whatever you want to call it, taking it off cable and making it a standalone and highly interactive digital destination with integrated betting and integrated fantasy.
Wow. Okay.
So that's even more ESPN Bet. You mentioned you can't turn on an ESPN show without seeing ESPN Bet.
So.
You're going to see even more now with ESPN going direct to consumer off the cable networks. No word on when that's actually going to happen, but some analysts are saying by the end of this year, if not next year, that ESPN will be off your cable system.
Yeah, I'm curious about cost of this and how this affects, your local teams and things like that. So,
well, that's where the joint venture comes in, because that's going to be all the sports.
Yeah,
and then you have ESPN Plus, which is still around. I'm assuming it's just going to be everything moved over to
that's
ESPN
what's going
Plus.
happening. I turned on my smart TV, and the other night I saw MSG Plus. I was like, what? Okay. Now, I have MSG on my basic cable, so I'm wondering if I can sign into MSG Plus with my cable, credentials and things like that, and see if it works there. So I haven't tried it yet. So looks like everything's going to streaming now.
Yeah. Over in Massachusetts, we had talked about the previous episode, Better and BETR. And WinBet shutting down sometime towards the end of the month.
Yeah,
they shut down already. They got their plans approved. They shut down immediately almost.
Okay.
So now everyone has 30 days to get their money out, basically.
All right. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. The Encore Boston Harbor Resort Casino Sportsbook will be operated still by Encore Boston Harbor.
Okay.
Still, that does open the possibility to see another brand come in there at some point.
It'd be interesting.
So, I'm wondering if you may see like a Bet365, because they tried to do something with one of the tracks there, and it didn't happen. You still have Caesars out there too, but I can't see Caesars
and Wynn. I don't know
partnering
about
up
that.
like that.
Let me tell you some. Who has a home headquarters in Boston is DraftKings.
Yes.
Be interesting to see if anything happens there. So,
well, there are still 8 open licenses for online operators there after Better.
So we might have a dark horse jump in on this one, huh?
And we still have Ballybet. They renewed they announced they're renewing their license.
Okay.
But they haven't launched yet.
All right.
So we'll see what happens there.
I'm trying to think of any other ones that could jump in there.
You got Betfred, Bet365. You've got Unibet shutting down.
By the way, that's one of the things. I have an account with Unibet, so I guess I have to keep my eye out, and when I have to withdraw funds.
You still have Fanatics, who can do a retail book.
Absolutely. So.
You also have that one that just opened up in Colorado, ClutchBet.
Oh, okay.
From BlueBet.
All right.
So there's a bunch of them out there that could possibly do it, but Massachusetts is one of the more expensive states.
Okay.
So going over to the fantasy industry, Prize Picks announced after a $15 million settlement to the state of New York for operating quote-unquote illegally for years. They didn't know they were doing that, so they
It's a
paid the
communication.
$15 million.
These regulations are complex anyway. It makes it doubly complex when you don't have effective communications with these operators.
So they are shutting down operations for their pick'em style games in New York. Same thing in Florida. As a matter of fact, they just announced that they're shutting down those operations in Florida along with Underdog Fantasy.
Okay. All right.
Over in West Virginia, the state recently entered into the multi-state internet gaming compact. They announced that online poker could possibly happen later this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which state was that?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. All right. Yeah, no, I heard about that. Yeah, great.
That's it for the industry updates. We're going to finish up with our legislative roundup. We're going to start in the state of Alabama here in our legislative roundup. Alabama has basically surprised everybody in the industry by sort of moving forward with these two bills that they have that would establish sports wagering, state lotteries, casino-style gaming, and also authorizes a gaming compact between the Porch Band of Creek Indians and the state, which allows them to get involved in even more casino expansion as well.
Which, by the way, is miles away, but it's a great first step.
Yeah. Well, the House passed both the bills, so next step is the next legislative rung.
Yep.
So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yep.
Over in Kansas introduced bill, State Senators Cindy Hulkster and Virgil Peck have introduced Bill SB 432, which will prohibit advertising of sports wagering through internet websites and electronic device applications. Okay. Basically, they're curtailing a lot of the advertising that pops up on your phone or your websites or whatever.
Okay.
So we'll see where it goes from there.
Didn't BetMGM just do a deal with X?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Great timing.
Well, Bill does carve out an exception for on-site promotions. Too,
okay.
So,
all right.
Yep. Over in Maryland, for sake of time, I'm going to focus on the one bill that is actually creating some kind of raised eyebrows in the industry. We've got a recently filed bill, HB 1087, which would make college campuses a no-go zone for online and mobile sports betting, which means they have to geofence the college campus.
Interesting. Wow.
I don't know how you can do that.
Now, will there be some kind of buffer zone, like a bet-free school zone kind of thing, like a block away from the campus or whatever, or what's going on there?
Again, it's a requirement that's going to be kind of hard to enforce, I think.
No,
it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
We'll see how this actually works out in real life.
And they're requiring each institution to publish a written policy online about online gambling on the campus.
Okay.
So it's just proposed. I'm pretty sure, given the fact that it's pretty much like every other state, it's going to go through some permutations before it gets to a final version. And we'll see exactly what happens with the geofencing. Last story comes out of West Virginia. Our friend, Representative Sean Fluharty.
They call them delegates.
Delegates.
Whatever,
he has partnered up with representative I have on my notes here, Roger Hanshaw, to file HB, and they have a long number here, 5668, which aims to create the West Virginia Responsible Gambling and Research Act.
Good.
Basically, the bill is requiring the operators to turn over their data to the West Virginia University on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. It's just the data. They're stripping all the identifying parts of the data around, so it respects everybody's privacy.
Good.
Very interesting act. It's allowing them to look at responsible gambling in terms of a monthly and annual report on how the operators are using or how the customers are using the operators.
No, it's a great idea. It's a great way to make sure everything is working properly and everyone's doing the right thing. And that information is available anyway. So I think it's just in one place and they're collating it, I guess.
The privacy issues, the information they're submitting is stuff that can't be accessed through a Freedom of Information Act. So it's not public record until it's published in this report by West Virginia University. So kind of interesting to see that step being done. Sean's been kind of busy.
Oh,
he
yeah.
actually had another bill filed in West Virginia to help protect abuse against athletes for sports betting.
That's important. That's huge.
That's a big one. And he works with the Nickel G's, National Council of Legislators from Gaming States. They just did the partnership with the UK Gambling Commission.
Doing
very
great work.
busy. Very busy stuff coming out of West Virginia.
Yeah, no, it's a great market. It's a great gaming market.
That's it for this week's Turnpike Sports book report. Press releases, info, turnpikesportsradio.com. Keep those coming in. If you've been watching on TV, the ticker is flying by below us. News stories in the ticker that we didn't have a chance to cover in this half hour. And then, as always, Monday mornings after this show is released, on our blog, turnpikesports.us, you will see a full print version of the book report there. It has even more stories that we didn't have a chance to cover in the ticker, as well as on air. So please, and happy reading.
And that'll do for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.